4 books that I do not recommend you start reading in English if you're not a native English speaker. A Game of Thrones. A Game of Thrones is an amazing book. I mean, we all know the story, we probably all seen the TV series. I do not recommend you start with this one in English if you're not, a native English speaker or you have a really good level of English. I struggled and I have a good level of English because there are a lot of terms that I did not understand at the moment. And I would have preferred if I would have read it maybe a bit later when my English got better, or if I would have read it in my native language. Cinder. Cinder is, if not the first, I think it was the first book that I ever read in English. It had a lot of difficult terms that I did not understand at the time. I was 15 when I read this one, and there wasn't an available translation in my native language, so I had to read it in English. I think there is a translation right now, but I'm not sorry I did. However, I do not recommend you start with this one because the terms, the fantasy terms and the terms in general are pretty difficult to follow, and you would need to have your phone translating every now and then every other term. The Dressmaker. The Dressmaker is one of my favorite movies ever. The book, this is one of those cases, few cases where the movie is better than the book is. I struggled while reading this book because this is Australian English, and even though I adore the Australian accent, let me show you how difficult it was at the beginning. I had to, translate every other term now and then, and there were so many local terms that were so unfamiliar with me that it was just difficult, so I wouldn't recommend you start with this one either. I may be one of the only people that did not like this book, Call Me By Your Name. I did not like this book because I was expecting a story and I read more of an essay on life and on what other people think, and I struggled while reading this one. I was 17 at the time. I probably wouldn't struggle now, but I did struggle back then, and I wouldn't recommend you start with this one either. Which one have you read, and do you agree or disagree with me?